Welcome, foolish mortals.
Time to be turning around. If only you could.
'Cause this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness!
Hey, Henry, what's holding you up? Let's get on with the show. We can't hang around here all day.
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for.
There's no turning back now.
This is the greatest show!
It's coming on the burning lights. With the runaways are running tonight. Impossible comes true. It's taking over you. This is the greatest show.
Now it's time for the WDW Beyond the Gates podcast with your hosts, Michael Hurley and Gary Aruda.
This is the greatest show.
That's right. This is the WDW Beyond the Gates podcast, episode number 531, recorded from the Defont Laurie Studios in Kent County, Rhode Island, and sunny Southwest Florida. I'm your host, Gary, joined as always by my co-host and my cousin, Mike, down in Florida. How you doing today, Michael?
Oh, I'm fabulous.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
How's everything going?
It's going good.
Yeah. Did you get back out into the course feeling well rested and everything?
Yep. Made my first point on hole number 3, which is good.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, we started double, and then we started taking bets on when I was going to make my first point, and I made a bogey on 3, and I 3-putted for a bogey on 4, and it was, let's go, boys.
You're back.
I'm back.
Back into form.
Nice 3-putt on 3, hit an 8-iron to about 15 feet.
Yeah.
Left my 15-footer about 8 feet short uphill, and
missed that one.
yeah. Yep.
Hey, whatever gets you going, you got to get the ball rolling one way or another. What else is new? How'd Rhodey do with you guys gone? Was he good?
Oh, he was great. Yeah, he was great. He's a good boy. Yeah, we had a good pet sitter. He was good for 13 days.
To see you back?
It was. Huh?
Did he go crazy when you guys came back?
He was pretty damn excited. We got home at like 3:30.
Yeah.
What was Monday morning or whatever?
Like overnight, like 3:30 a.m.
Yeah, because we didn't land in Miami until 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, and then you had to drive and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we could see him through the front door when we pulled in the park in the driveway. He was very excited.
Yeah.
I emptied my entire Venmo account to pay that girl. It absolutely devastated me. I thought that member guest stash was going to pay one of my bills at Sarah. Nope. Went right into Kara's purse. Yep.
That happens.
Those liabilities, Podge, whether they're kids or dogs, it adds up, doesn't it?
Adds up quick, yeah. How quickly did you get back to your normal sleep cycle?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Everybody talks about jet lag. It wasn't, because Kristen said it's 1 day for every hour, which would have been six days, no. The first day, that's why I asked you if you ever been punched in the face. Like, I wasn't tired, but you had like that, your head was like kind of just ringing.
From all that traveling, yeah, too.
Yeah.
That's tough. Oh.
Yeah, I'm always more concerned, not about the sleep, but about the other things that I talk about pretty much on a daily basis. That's always my biggest concern.
Did you make up for
like
lost
how
time
long
yet
did it take
on that?
Oh, we're all set.
You're back?
Oh, I was fine. It was going. I was having some issues in Barcelona. Oh man. I'd pass out at like 10 o'clock at night, and then at 2:30, I'm wide awake, just staring at the ceiling.
That's not good.
Yeah. Their toilets are a mess.
They're not that good.
We'll talk about that on some upcoming trips, but you can't flush the toilets.
You can't flush them? That seems like that'd be a problem.
No, well, it was a problem. It was a very big concern. And of course, yours truly asked people at dinner. We don't say, hi, I'm Mike. I'm from Sarasota, Florida. I said, did you guys have any issues with the toilet? One of the guys said he had to call down to the front desk.
This was at the hotel, not on the cruise.
No, this isn't on the cruise. This is in the hotel.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you had to pump the toilet. You had to pump it.
You had to
It's like
pump
they
it.
have like this flusher, and you have to go walk, 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 and like hit it 4 times, and then it finally goes down. There's no
at least
plunge. I mean, it was.
That's a terrifying
Yeah, eventually
feeling,
we all,
isn't it?
but we had. Oh, it's a terrifying feeling when there's no plungers and. Yeah, you're calling downstairs. I mean, all the dopey Americans are calling downstairs saying we've got some issues with our.
You'd think they'd put some
facilities.
signs in there or something. Give some instructions. Anyway, we'll get to that on a later episode. We're joined
we've got a lot
this
to
week
talk about.
by Por Favor Mary. Mary, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Good. Things are good.
That's good. And you just got back from a cruise of your own.
Yes, we got back like right as Cousin Mike was leaving. So ours was the 11th through the 18th of May.
Nice.
Do you miss this podcasting?
I do. Dan actually, I'm not going to say we're starting back up, but he says that he misses doing it and he wants to do just like random shows. I'm like, okay, you let me know.
It's going to be very random, as in never.
Right. Well, I had forgotten to put my earbuds in. So I was just like, oh, I hope that doesn't mess up all the sound. I just put them in.
No, you're okay.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I mean, we sent you a
And rusty.
checklist well ahead of hand. Did your people not get it into your hands in time?
I don't think so. It must have gotten lost
her assistant
in the
left.
shuffle. Yeah.
It is the Sunday. She gives her assistant Sunday off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I try.
But Mary's joining us to talk about her cruise review. So you went on which ship was it?
We went on the Fantasy, the Disney Fantasy.
And you've done a few cruises. Is this your first time on the Fantasy?
Yeah. So this is my 6th cruise total.
You got a lot of catching up.
You're another level up. You're gold now.
Well, this is only my 2nd official one.
One that you actually paid for. Okay. So they're not giving you the swagger when you're bunking up with Brittany, is what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
So
all right.
I'm still just silver level. This was my first cruise getting Castaway Club gifts. But it is my 6th. I still did all those other cruises. But now after this, I've been on every ship except the Magic, which is their original ship. So that's the last one until, well, now the Treasure is going to start sailing, and I obviously haven't done that, but
you'll have to get on one of those.
Crossing them off, yeah.
Yeah.
Crossing
you
them
like
off the
that,
list.
Mike? You like completionists, don't you?
Yeah.
You need to catch them all.
I don't have the OCD quite like Susie and Mr. Casciano do, but yeah, you want to cross all that stuff off, don't you?
It's nice to be able to say you've done them all. And you kind of just get a feel for which ones are your favorite. You are on the Dream, which is the sister ship of the Fantasy. So they're like in the same style. They're kind of the same size. The Fantasy was the newest before the Wish came out. So it was the 4th one that they started sailing. But very similar to the Dream, which I've also been on and I like.
They have the same signature restaurants with Palo and
Remy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did one night we did not night, it was during the day. We did the Art of the Theme tour. I don't know if they offered that on your cruise, but just someone takes you around the ship and tells you about like different design choices and what different things mean and stuff like that. So we got to go into Remy and look around, and they told us about these types of wine, that there's only like however many bottles in the whole world, and one of them's at the restaurant. And it's like a $25,000 bottle of wine. So that was pretty cool. But I would imagine, I don't know, if there's also one.
I was going to say, is that the same one Susie ordered at Narcoosee?
Maybe.
No, I don't think it's the same one. We would have definitely not been together if that was a freaking $56 glass of wine. It was more than my surf and turf.
You'd still be washing dishes there to this day to pay for it. Ooh.
We get a soundboard now.
You should see these investments we have in this studio, Mary.
I'm a few episodes behind. I was listening pretty regularly, but I'm probably behind about 4 or 5 episodes now. So I haven't heard the soundboard.
The soundboard's a relatively new investment.
Oh,
It's very
okay.
dumb.
My computer guy came in today. My computer died, Mary. Of course, when you go
Oh,
on
boy.
a vacation, you come back and you're like, this doesn't work. So my PC's broken. So we thought it was just a power supply. But long story short, he comes in. He goes, "Are you a podcaster?" I mean, I've got lights. I mean, if you're looking behind me, you can see those orange lights,
The ring lights
the
are
color of our logo. I mean, I've got it going on in here.
It's fancy.
Oh, making a lot of money right now.
Yeah, sounds like it.
We actually have to have people signing for our royalty checks. We're too
Wow.
busy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But you said it was a 6-night cruise?
7.
7-night cruise. Okay.
Yeah. Saturday
Where'd
to
you guys
Saturday.
depart from?
Cape Canaveral. Port
So
Canaveral.
what do you fly into Orlando and spend the night in
Yep.
Disney, or how do you work that out?
For this one, we flew into Orlando on Friday the 10th. We got in, our flight left at like 6 a.m. So we got in very early.
Oh, so
and
you had like a whole day.
Yeah. So we met with our friends we were cruising with, Matt and Bobby. They took the red eye from LA. So they got to Orlando at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And
now, is this your friend who used to come over at Christmas? Is that
no, a different Matt?
no, a different one? I know you have friends like all over the world, don't you?
Yeah, well, not really the
Totally
world,
traveling.
but all over
And you
the
have
country.
about 20 friends named Matthew, if I
Yeah.
recall.
Just the 2 that I'm
Okay. Well, not
still
quite as
friendly
much.
with. Yeah. But so we met them, and then we ended up staying at a hotel in Cape Canaveral area. We figured we'd just travel out there because we weren't
You
going to
guys stayed
do
in
the day at the
Dump, didn't you?
parks. No, I mean, it was nice. It was the Residence Inn, right? It was like 5 minutes from the
It
port.
didn't still have the smell of cigarettes from 1983 that they weren't able to get out of the room.
No, it was
Right.
nice. So we did that, and we ended up didn't really do anything that day.
Your brother didn't throw you any DVC points to nice little
No.
1 bedroom for the 4 of you to share? No, okay.
No,
I noticed you didn't either.
that's
Your
true.
godfather.
Well,
He's not my godfather.
No, that's
hold on a
Captain.
sec.
I always
Yeah.
get that confused.
I don't have a
I
godfather.
wouldn't give
That's
her
right.
any points either, so don't you worry, Mary.
Oh boy. But that was kind of just we didn't really do much of anything that day. There's not a lot, even though it's a busy area, there's not a lot to just kind of go find something to do and see, unless you want to go to the beach, which we weren't doing that day. So
What about
we
Cape
kinda just
Canaveral?
bumped
I went
around.
there when I was a kid. I like that. No, that wasn't on the.
Well,
In the
the
cards.
whole area is Cape Canaveral, but we didn't do anything
I mean, like
specific.
the space.
Yeah, well, it's expensive, and none of us were really
Yeah,
interested
but look at
enough
all the
to
money you were saving at the
spend.
Residence Inn.
That's true. We didn't think of it that way, but none of us were really interested enough to spend, because it's like $80 or something for the day. It's crazy. So we just kind of bummed around, watched some movies, hung out, and got ready. And then it was nice the morning of to just take a 10-minute Uber over to the port and get on the ship. So our port arrival time was like 11:30. So pretty early to get on and start enjoying the ship.
How were you
So
able
that
to
was
score
nice.
that early time?
We did our check-in like right at midnight the day that you're able to. And you do, I think, get to check in 1 day before everybody else if you're a silver level Castaway
yeah, right.
Club.
Yep.
So depending on the levels, you get a couple, like Pearl or whatever the top level is, gets to check in first, and then it goes down from there. So you get above a few people, at least if you're silver level. So it's just how it worked out. Our boarding group, I think, was 11 or 12. So it was nice, and it goes pretty fast. Once they start boarding, the boarding groups go by pretty quickly. So yeah, we were on the ship by probably noontime, because that's the arrival time and then you start the check-in process of like checking your passport and all of that stuff, going through security, and then you wait for a while in the port and the terminal, and then they start calling the boarding groups. So we were probably
They
on by
announced
about noon.
everybody. I've seen that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to
once
ask
you
you
get
that.
on. Yeah, they ask
Now, do
you
you
when
go
you
on
come
as a
in.
couple, or did you go on as 4 individuals? Like, how did you work that? I mean,
we
that's a
went in
pain.
just
You got 10 people,
as one
all
group
singles.
of 4.
Oh, as one group?
Yeah, we just picked.
Did you make up a name like the Melnick family?
No, we shouldn't. We were gonna tell them to say, because we joked about this last time, because I cruised with them on the Wish last year, this same group of 4, and we said this time we were gonna be Dan Buckley and friends, but they just asked for a last name, and Dan said his, and they said the Buckley family. So we were like, that's fine.
Oh, you guys are
Yep,
so
hello,
lame. This
thank
was
you.
your opportunity.
I know we dropped the ball. We'll have to think of something for the next one
Now,
because we're addicted.
Did you all 4 share like a suite, or did they have separate?
We had separate. So
Okay.
Dan and I shared a room, and then Matt and Bobby had a room. They were a couple floors above us, but pretty close, like right on the same side and in the same area of the ship.
I didn't know some of those bigger suites. I didn't know if it's like more cost effective to split that 4 ways, or
I wouldn't think so, just because also it's that, well, I guess you could, but they have the family suites are like the bed, and then it has the like fold over couch, and then there's a Murphy bed.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably could have, but it's not a lot of extra space. So I feel like that's better like for families with more kids, but for 4 adults, it's kind of still tight quarters, like not a lot of space.
I was thinking like the baller ones that have like a separate room, and I didn't know how much.
Yeah,
no, those are a lot more.
On. Yeah, we're not talking about just regular suites. We're talking like taking out second mortgages here, Mary.
I have no frame of reference though, so I didn't know.
It is a big difference. I think in some cases it probably could be cost effective depending on the family and what you're looking for, but for us it wasn't for this cruise. So
what were some of the ports you guys hit up?
So it was 7 nights. So there were 2 sea days at the front of the cruise. So we got on, and then our first full day was a day at sea. Our second full day was a day at sea. And then our first port was Tortola, so the British Virgin Islands.
Back up a second first. So did you hit the buffet?
Of course.
Like as soon as you got on the ship, did you take me through that?
Well,
was your room ready first of all at noonish, 1 o'clock?
No, our room was not ready yet. They tell you typically between 1:30 and 2. It might vary depending on the ship and where they're coming from and what the situation is, but that's what they told us. So we actually, because we hadn't done it before, we were kind of curious. One of the first things we did was tour the spa. We wanted to learn a little bit more about like the rainforest room and all of the things that were available at the spa. So that was actually one of our first stops was that.
And
were you uncomfortable walking through there? You bunch of you tightwads or?
Well, I'm a tightwad. The rest of the boys are not. Matt and Bobby especially.
Guys.
Yeah, they like to spend their money on vacation.
They're LA guys. Of course they're not tightwads. They're in the facials and the $7,000 haircuts, and of course.
Right. So we got our tour, and they're telling us about all the different things you could do. You go into this one room and they tell you about all these massages. You go into the next room and they tell you about the boys about like getting a shave and a head massage and all that good stuff.
Yes,
and
beautiful.
Everything.
And you're just scrounging the free freaking cucumber water, right? You're
right.
Not listening to
and
any
then
of these presentations.
They tell you how if you get this package, you save all this money. Da 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 da. And then the last stop, they take you in where it's kind of like a waiting room if you're waiting for a service or something. And they're like doing like the stones like up your arm, and they're like, "This is like the stone massage." And
they're doing demos. They're really going hard after you
and
guys.
they give you like a pamphlet that shows like all the different levels and all the things that you can do if you do this package or this package.
Yeah.
So us 4 suckers, we all did a package.
No, you're not suckers. No, you're not suckers.
Yeah. So you get to pick 3 services. And it was like, depending on what you picked, between like $450 and $500. Well, it could be way more than that, but the lower end but that includes like tip and tax and everything. So you're walking out with 4 services for between $450 and $500. So I, of course, did everything from the cheap side.
More on upgrades than this cruise was. You've turned a corner.
I really said, we were talking about it the other day because we have like a group text message with the 4 of us. And they were like, this time last week, we were all getting tours of the spa, about to spend all our money. And I was like, that's the most out of character thing I think I've ever done in my life, was just like in a moment decide I'm going to spend $500 on spa treatments on a Disney cruise.
Were you sitting there every morning going through your folio like, woo?
Honestly.
Oh, no. Like Kristen and I were like, our Rome excursions coming through. Whoa.
Yeah. I was like, happy I had recently that I hadn't spent all my tax return yet.
Mike keeps saying Michelob Ultra.
That's the nice thing for me, is that I don't drink, so you don't get all of those charges. So, So, and when we were at the booking window was open for like booking excursions and all that stuff, we're looking at everything. And I kept asking everybody, like, does anyone want to do like a spa treatment? Let's like pick one. If anyone wants, no interest. They were like not interested, any of them. They wanted to do all of like this adventurous stuff. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm on vacation. It makes me nervous.
No, have you done any of that? Have you done a massage ever in your life?
I've done just one. I had one massage before the cruise. And I've gotten like manicures and pedicures, but it's not something I do often. Yeah. And I had never had a facial. So those were the 3 things I picked.
So what did you end up doing? You did a massage, a facial, and manicure, pedicure?
Mani-pedi. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it was nice. I mean, I'm happy I did it. I don't know if I would do like a package again. I would maybe do like something if I wanted, or the rainforest room. Like we didn't do the rainforest room on top of all of that. So I think I would use the spa again, but I don't think I would get so many services again.
Now, how much was the rainforest? Because you only did that, right, Mike? You just did like the rainforest room.
Oh no, we did the couples massage parts.
Oh, that's right. You did tell me that.
We did quite a bit.
But it's like its own thing. So they had told us, because that was the first thing they showed us, was the rainforest room. And you can get, I don't know how much the day passes are, but you can do a length of stay pass. And I think it can vary based on the ship and how long your cruise is. But I think it was like $150, $175.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not bad.
But your time of stay was the same time of stay as me. Yeah. And ours were $159, I want to say. So right around the 150 threshold.
Yeah,
I think
somewhere in there.
Day it was going to be 40 or 50. So I'm like, well, if we use it 3 days minimum, it's going to pay for itself.
Right. Yeah. So
and
I mean,
I'll tell you, those loungers are so comfortable, by the way.
Yeah. We sat in them briefly during the tour.
Were they like the massaging loungers?
Oh. No, they're just like these heated. Nice kind of, they are heated, but they're like these stone kind of like wave things.
Yeah,
so it's
they're
just
really
like
nice
and comfortable to lay in. And you get a nice view. The spa's usually at the back of the ship, so you just kind of look out and you just see all the water. Like there's you can't see any other parts of the ship and stuff. So it's just a nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. That spa is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're beautiful. And so, but that was like, they always try to get you to do enhancements to all of your, and the enhancements, they give you like this list of all these things you can do, and they're only like $19 each. And I was like, no, I don't need any of that. No, thank you. I spent all my money already. And then they try to sell you hundreds of dollars worth of products. And they tell you like, well, you need this for your skin and you need to start doing this. And you're like, okay, I'll think about it.
Oh, so literally, this is kind of like a hard sell. This is very un-Disney-like.
I think this is really the only place where like they're trying to sell you something. Like they really do want to upsell you, but
it's an industry-wide thing. Because when we were filling out our paperwork, Kristen told me she filled out right at the top, no product sales, no upsell, blah, blah, blah. So
yeah,
Kristen's
they're pretty receptive. Like I think for me, like right from the get-go, I was like, no, I don't. This was kind of a splurge for me in the first place. So I'm not really comfortable adding anything else on. So that like on my first one, I said that. So the other two, even though I had different people, they must have made a note because they told me, they're like, here's some products that you might be interested in, but they didn't really try to sell me on anything. They're still going to let you know, here's this $400 face cream. if you want to buy it. And I'm like, okay, thanks. So
Well, Kristen made a wise move putting that, because if they started giving you products, you would have bought everything, Mike. They're like, you need this foot cream. You're
Well,
like,
the
you know
way
what? I
they
do need
ask
this
you, you're
foot
like,
cream.
sure. Like, there's, yeah.
Then you go
No.
back to the folio. Beep.
No, every time I looked at the portfolio, I'd be in the mud room before we went for breakfast, and I would literally be sweating. You see the generous tip I left Rosario the night before. I'm like, oh God, I got to stop this.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was like the first thing we did, and they book out all your appointments and figure out when you want to do them and all that stuff. And then we went to the buffet after that, to Cabanas, to get something to eat before we had to do the muster drill and then get ready for the rest of the day.
What's a mustard drill?
It's just like a safety thing.
Oh,
so you have to go, they recommend going from your room to your assembly station, it's called. So it's where you would go on the ship if there were any kind of emergency. And then that's like your group, you meet like your group leader, and they just tell you what would happen. Like if you hear this kind of alarm, it's like a certain number of blasts, then you know you have to go to the assembly station. They tell you what to do.
You have to go to your room and grab your life jackets and then come to the assemblage station. And
yeah, just, you know, they have
and it's
to.
a total waste of time, because the experienced cruises were doing a standing ovation when they announced that it was over.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't take,
like,
I mean,
loud cheers.
Yeah. The longest part is just waiting for everyone to file in, because they really won't start. You have to check in. One member of your party has to like tap your card so they know that your room is represented. They call out for people if they're missing anyone from this stateroom here, anyone from this stateroom.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just a legal safety thing. You have to do it. It only takes probably about half an hour, the whole experience, start to finish. But
it's still a good thing to know, God forbid, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the nice thing, well, I didn't do it, but I knew that during COVID, you had to go to your assembly station and like scan a QR code, and then you just have to check off that you watched a video.
Yeah, I guess back for a couple years, like it was basically all virtual.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's at like usually at like, I don't know, 3:00, 3:30, whatever. And then you basically go right up to the sail away party. So they do a show on the main like pool deck with all the characters and singing and dancing and getting ready to pull away from the port. So we went to that. And then we had our first spa appointment after that. We booked it like right after. So we went right back over to the spa.
There you go.
And Dan got a massage. I got my manicure and pedicure that first day. So I'd have it for the whole cruise. And yeah, then we spent some time just exploring the ship, walking around, and then started getting ready for dinner. So we have the second seating. You can have, I think it's like, I don't know if it's 5:15, 5:30, somewhere in the 5 o'clock hour is the first seating. And then 8:15 is the second seating for dining.
Okay, ours was 8:30. And the first one, I want to say was 6-ish, but that's because our excursions were all day. And we basically weren't getting back on the ship till 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
The earliest on some days. So they
I
pushed
think it's
dinner
more
back a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's more standard for like, I think it's 5:30 or 5:45, I think is the first seating. And I think that's pretty standard for most cruises. I think that's what it's been on everyone that I've been on. And then the 8:15 for the second. And then if there's like a show in the main theater, you'll do like the opposite show time. So we would go to the first show.
Yeah.
Then you have like an hour or so in between, because most of the shows were right about an hour, and they would start about 6 o'clock. And then you'd have a little bit of time in between, and we would do the second dinner. It's nice to have the second.
The same theaters, the Walt Disney World Theater and the Buena Vista Theater.
Yeah, the Walt
sister
Disney
ships, so the same theaters as they do on the Dream.
Yeah, I think I think all of the ships, I think they're called the Walt Disney Theater, which is where like the main stage is for live performances. Okay. I don't know if the theaters all have the same name like the movie theaters, but the one on the Fantasy was the Buena Vista Theater, the movie theater.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, so that was our kind of daily schedule for that. But it's interesting because this is the longest cruise I've been on, and on like the shorter ones, there's usually like some sort of live show every night. On this one, not that there wasn't, but there were more like, I don't know what you'd call them, like acts, like lounge acts, like comedians. There was a show that was kind of like in the style of Stomp, so like a percussion sort of show. We didn't always go to those. I think the only one we saw, which we didn't even do the main stage version, he was in one of the lounges later, was the comedian / like magician thing. But there's like 3 Broadway style shows on the ship. And then stuff like that. So yeah. And then we would spend most of the evenings, we would go over into like the adults lounge sections. So they have like 3 or 4 kind of small bars. One's a little bit bigger where they'll do like karaoke and any sort of like trivia or game shows and things in there.
Yeah.
And then like a few smaller lounges where you could just get drinks and stuff. They would kind of rotate which one would have like a happy hour each night. So you could get like special drinks and stuff like that. But it's nice. They're all kind of like in this one area. So you can hop around from one to the other, just kind of see what's going on. If it feels too crazy or if something's happening in one and not the other, it's nice to have that little sort of district in the evening to do activities after dinner. But there's always stuff to do. I'm interested to hear about yours, which I know we will, just because it is like you had more time at the ports. So your time on ship, I'm sure, felt a little bit different. But we had like a lot of time on the ship. We had 3 full sea days on our cruise and then 3 port days.
Because you departed on a Saturday. So you were at sea on Saturday and then all day on Sunday?
And Monday.
Oh, so you were at sea Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we ported Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday was a sea day. And then Friday was the final port day and our last full day.
Was that
okay
because it was so far, or did they just kind of like stall out at sea?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think they kind of plan it because on a lot of the cruises, Castaway is the last port day, and then that's very close. So you can get back to Port Canaveral, especially pretty quickly. So they usually don't, as far as I don't know what all the itineraries are, but I don't think they ever really start at Castaway. It's usually the last stop, and there's usually not a sea day in between.
Makes sense.
I mean, I don't know. Again, they do so many different itineraries. They could switch them up, but I think it was a little bit of both. Like it was further out, but then Tortola and St. Thomas, which is where we went the second day, are like super close. So you did kind of get the feeling that you were just kind of like going out and coming back, because I forget who had said it, but they said like it really doesn't take any time to get from one to the other because the Virgin Islands are just like a string of islands, and we were visiting 2 of them. But yeah, so I guess they might kind of take it slow on the way. Our first port was Tortola, which is the British Virgin Islands, and then the next day was St. Thomas, which is the U.S. Virgin Islands. But they're just so close together that you kind of just leave Tortola. I don't know exactly what they do, but it seems like you maybe kind of just do like almost a U-turn and kind of come back to St. Thomas because they don't want to just sit in port all night. Like they want to get you out back on the sea. And then I guess they kind of circle back or just go really slow. I don't know exactly how far it is and how long it's supposed to take, but.
Do you do anything?
So what did you do on your excursions?
So we did in Tortola, we did a zip lining excursion.
Now, do you take a bus?
Yes. So we got off the you have to meet. I mean, I'm sure this process now, but they tell you where to meet for your specific excursion, where you're going to meet on the ship. So we were in the movie theater, the Buena Vista Theater.
Yep.
And you get like a sticker. They give you like a character, and they're like, this group goes here. Yep. This group is going here. And they kind of like get everybody checked in, and then they dismiss you and you follow someone off the ship. And then, we got on to a bus that was going to take us up to the top of the island to do zip lining. So we got in our bus. we're going up. It's like these narrow winding roads going up the island. And we're going up and it's feeling like we're chugging along, like having a hard time. We get to this spot where he's like, all right, we're going to stop here. This is a nice spot. You can see your ship. You can take some pictures. And then the bus starts smoking. And we're like, okay, great. This is so nice. So our bus is broken down. Our bus driver's on the phone, like, do we have any other buses that someone can bring up here? Or we're at this point on the mountain, blah, blah, blah. He's calling this guy named Junior. And I was like, don't send Junior. Send Senior at least. Like, I don't need Junior coming up here who doesn't even know. And he's like telling him, he's like, we're at this point. You've lived on this island your whole life. How do you not know where it is? And I was like, oh, God, we're going to be stranded on Tortola.
Bus drivers who didn't know where they were taking you.
Well, our first bus driver did, but this guy who's supposed to come bring us a new bus apparently didn't know how to get to where we were. Oh, I don't know. I was having like a little bit of a panic attack. It was getting hot on that bus. And I was like, oh God, this is a bad omen. But we got a new bus. And then this one was like an open air style bus because this other bus, it was getting hot and we were all getting anxious. So it was actually nice.
Well, you're on one of the islands. You didn't just partake in a little hoochie on the bus?
Well, we didn't have any. I mean, I don't typically anyway, but we didn't bring anything with us. We didn't stop anywhere before we got on the bus. So anyway,
seems like something you could just get at any random red light, don't you think?
I mean, we probably could have.
I think that's the case in most of the states now too.
Yeah. But we got there eventually. So we got to the top and they get us in all our gear and everything. And then it was 7 lines. So the course had like 7 different like zips for you to do.
Was this your first time doing this?
It was. And I was very anxious about it. Like I kind of just had to be, I'm fairly easygoing, but I had to kind of be like, I don't really want to joke around or talk to anybody right now. Let me just watch this person telling me how to get safely from point A to point B with all my gear on. But it was good because they do everything for you. So they get you in all your gear and then they clip you onto the zip line. They stop you. They do everything. All you have to do is like step off the platform and go.
When you said there were how many stations? 7?
7. So we did like 7 lines. Yeah. So it was nice. It was probably the time spent zip lining. Like obviously you're not actively zip lining the whole time, but it was probably maybe about a half an hour or so, like getting around from. Probably not even that long, but
no, were you pretty high?
Yeah, we were like at the top. When we got down, the bus driver was like, "That's where you guys were," and you could see it. Like we were at the top of like part of the island. Yeah, it was beautiful. You could see the ship.
He's such a.
Listen,
I'm afraid of heights.
I'm not getting into it. Mary, continue.
Listen, I had like a little moment right before I was supposed to go. So there were maybe 4 people in front of us in our group in line. And then Dan was right in front of me. And then it was my turn. I got up, the lady strapped me in and I did kind of she was like, are you okay? Like I had like a couple tears coming down and I was like, it's fine. I'm going to do it. It's fine. I'm fine. But it's, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how it works. It's just
after the bus broke down, I would have been nope, that's my omen. I'm not doing
I said that too. I was on the bus. I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going zip lining. But
Gary's never smoked a day in his life, and that's where he's puffing on that ganja. Yeah, I'm all set. I'll meet you down at the bottom of the.
I'll walk back to the boat. I'll get there eventually. Have a good
smoking a tree on the way back to the bus.
Yeah.
Any golf courses around there? 9 hole.
There you go.
A quick 9 in.
But I felt safe, so I did it, and I'm glad I did it. I don't know if I would do it again, but it was fun and. Everyone else, like, not that I didn't enjoy it, but like the boys all enjoyed it. They really liked it. So
those
I'm glad I did it, but it was nerve-wracking.
Exercises, Gary. You're going to be doing those one of these days.
Nope, not those.
Not the zip lining ones. You don't need to be part of that team. And then we went back and just kind of walked around the port. There were some little shops right in that area. There were some people playing music. And like they had kind of like a little center square kind of thing, right where the ships would port. So it was nice.
Okay, so there was some activity right near your port.
Yeah.
On your first
On
day,
both,
okay.
yeah, both.
On both
Basically,
of the Virgin Island ones?
yeah. I think pretty much all of the ports I've ever been to had at least a little bit of something
Mhm.
that you could just get off and walk around for a little bit and not have to book anything.
Now, what did this, excursion cost, the first one, if you don't mind
I
my asking?
wanna say it was 120, 130. It really
A
wasn't that bad.
person?
Yeah.
And now this was, pretty much half-day excursions? What time
Yeah,
did you, get off the ship?
I think our time was like 8:30, so it was
Okay.
earlier in the morning, and we had a little bit of a delay with the bus, things like that, but
Mhm.
I think they said it was like you wanted to slot out like 2.5 to 3 hours of your day, but I don't even think it took us that long. But it was like a
So you could have
30-minute
been back
drive
on the
up.
ship at what time?
We spent maybe about 45 minutes to an hour kinda just, like, walking around in and out of
Mhm.
shops, but we were probably back on the ship by, like, 12:30, 1.
So it was a half-day excursion. I'm gonna
Yeah,
assume what time did
we
you
were off
guys
the ship for half the time.
leave port that day?
I wanna say it was right around 4.
Okay.
I don't remember specifically, I don't have it written down, but it wasn't definitely wasn't after 4, it might have been between 3:30 and 4, I think was, like, the all aboard time you had to be back on the
Okay.
ship.
Alright.
Yeah. All of our ports were kind of I think the latest we got on was at Castaway, which was 5 o'clock. So, not, like, super long days, but
Yeah.
it gives you enough time to do an excursion and kind of explore for a little bit, for sure. So,
And still get on the boat and have a few hours before you guys
yeah.
depart. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And then so the next day we did St. Thomas, and Dan and Bobby booked a scuba diving excursion, but Matt and I were not interested in
Oh, they
that.
both scuba certified then?
You didn't have to be certified for this
Oh, really?
excursion.
Okay.
You had to, like, from what they told us, you had to, like, pass these little kind of tests. Like, they basically took them on a boat out. They said it was like a 30 or 40-minute boat ride. So they went, like, out away from the island to, like, this small other island. And then they had to go into the water down like 30 feet or whatever. And they had to do these tests. Like, they had to let their mask fill with water and show that they could clear it of water. They had to lose their breathing thing and then show that they could get it back. So they had to pass these, like, little tests, but they're not
Okay.
officially certified.
Oh, alright.
So they had to stay with, like, the certified instructor. So I believe they said they went, like, out in groups of 4. So they
That
had enough
sounds
certified
awesome.
people. I mean, I'm sure it would be cool. Things like that, water activities make me nervous. So I know I wouldn't have had fun doing it, but Dan's dad, I guess, has been a certified scuba instructor. So Dan's never done it before, but feels comfortable with, like, how it works. So he was excited to do it. And then Bobby went in and he got too nervous, so he ended up just snorkeling, which you could still go and snorkel and look. They had, like, a shipwreck out there and things like
Yeah.
that. So he still was happy he went, but having to go down into, like, the open ocean and be down that far and do those things, he even did them, but then he got, like, too freaked out. So he ended up not doing the actual scuba diving. But, Dan said probably about half the people ended up not actually doing it. So I'm sure that's probably pretty common, especially since you don't have to be certified. You're just kind of going out and seeing if you want to do it.
You
I
get
don't
all
know.
these jabronis that had like 19 beers the night before, and they go out and they're like,
Honestly,
not doing
I'm
this."
sure. Yeah. So, but Matt and I stayed on the ship. We got breakfast. Did you guys do any of, like, the sit down breakfasts or lunches on
We
the
did
ship?
not. We were gonna do it one night, but we didn't end up doing it. Why did you? Because I know, like, they pick one restaurant out of the rotation for a sit down.
Yeah. So Matt and I did the sit down breakfast the morning that we were in St. Thomas. So Dan and Bobby, their meeting time was like 7:30 or 7:45. Like, they went early on the scoop because I think this was like a 4-hour excursion.
Okay.
So they left pretty early. So we stayed on the ship. We got breakfast, and then the St. Thomas Port was like a lot. There's a lot more to do, like a lot of shops. There's like a pirate museum. There's a lot of things you can do just walking around in St. Thomas. So we spent some time walking around, and then they have like it's almost like the skyline. It's like a gondola kind of thing that goes up to the top of the island, so you can kind of look out at everything. So we ended up doing that, and then Dan and Bobby met us at that. So we all went up to the top of the island to kind of look out, get the cool views of the whole island, which was cool. So I didn't do anything special that day, but we went into all the shops that have like the same t-shirts and hats and all the same stuff in like every shop. And then we went on the sky tram, or I forget what they called it, but it's cool to be up there and kind of, you can see so much of the island, and you see all the ships. There were 3 other ships ported at St. Thomas that day. So you see all the other ships and people coming off and on and stuff like that. So it was cool. Yeah.
Where else did you go? Fun. What other ports after
so
that?
Then our last port was Castaway Cay.
Oh, so it was three ports total. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after the 2 ports, we had another full sea day, and then we were in Castaway, which was kind of a short day. I guess, I don't know how long it takes to get there or if there were any kind of delays, but we didn't port. We weren't able to get off the ship until about 11, and then we had to be back on at 5. So, I mean, that's plenty of time to be at the beach on Castaway.
Now, you've been there before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to say every other cruise I've done has stopped in Castaway. There might have been one.
What's so great about this place?
I mean, I enjoy it, but I like Matt and Bobby love Castaway. They wanted to do a cruise that had 2 days in Castaway. And I'm just not a huge beach person. So I enjoy it. Sure. And I like that, like, you know, there's umbrellas set up for you. There's chairs. You don't have to worry about like bringing any food. Like, there's places for you just to go. The food is all included on the island as well. So you can go get your lunch. Do whatever you want to do.
I heard the food's really good.
It is. It's all like barbecue style. It's burgers, hot dogs. But they have like barbecue chicken, and you can get steak at the adults only part of the beach. So there's definitely good food to be had and stuff like that. And it is nice because you don't have to, it's so easy to get back to the ship if you've had enough sun for the day. There you can rent snorkels, you can rent floats, you can rent bikes and bike around the island. So it is really nice, and it's kind of, it just feels relaxing because it's so easy. Like, you don't have to worry about what you're going to do for lunch, going back and forth to the ship and things like that. And
now, with the big party of 4, the cabana wasn't intriguing.
Those are, I've heard, like impossible to get. If
They're
you're not
impossible,
like,
and they cost like $800 for the day, and you can't get them unless you stay concierge. It's crazy.
Yeah, I have no sense of how much they cost. I've never even attempted to look into them. But yeah, I feel like concierge, you get first dibs, and then I feel like if you're not like a Pearl member, if you've not done like 20 plus cruises, you have no chance, because then they get the next opening.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if they have like wait lists or whatever. Like, I've never looked into the process, but that's money I wouldn't spend personally, but I'm sure they're nice. And it was like, the sun was so strong this day. It was crazy. Like, you felt like you put sunscreen on and immediately just like melted off your face. But so I'm sure it would have been nice. And I think they do like they have like drinks and like a beverage cooler like in there stocked with drinks and stuff like that. So it is like,
and then you have your butler who's going to bring you your little foo-foo drinks.
Right. But they do have on the adult beach, they have cast members that'll walk around and ask, like, do you want anything from the bar? I think even on the family beach, they have, if you're close enough to where the bar is, they have people that like walk around and they'll bring you drinks. You just got to give them your key to the world card, and they take it and charge it. Then you got to sign off, but they'll bring you drinks and stuff. So it's nice, and the water's beautiful, and it's just so like you can just kind of go wherever and do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about where your stuff is, and like no one's really worried about anyone taking their stuff. Like, you're just all on a cruise, and you're not worried about any of that stuff. So it is nice and relaxing. And for someone who doesn't love the beach, it's nice because you can just go back to the ship if you're done, and like the rest of your party can stay if they want. It's so
And how
easy.
long of a walk is it from like the adults beach back to the cruise ship?
A walk from the adult beach back to the cruise ship would be pretty long. I don't know exactly what it is because that is further out. The walk from the ship to like the main family beach area is not bad, probably under 10 minutes, but it is a ways out. Yep. But they have trams that run pretty often, and you can take the tram like from the adult beach to the family beach and then walk back, or you can take it all the way up and they'll basically drop you almost right at the ship.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
And they do like the 5K. I think you can there's just like a certain course. So if you want to run a 5K on Castaway, like it doesn't have to be like a specifically scheduled race. You can do it anytime you're on the island. So a lot of people like to do that. And there are like running paths and a biking path. So there's definitely, if you want to be active and take the time, this day especially, it just felt too hot, but there's a lot to see and do. So it's nice. I mean, it's definitely a fun beach day, but if you're not a big beach person, I don't think it would be your favorite place to be, but
now my question is, and you might not know this, but just do those people just like live there year round, the people that like work on the island, or they just get off the boat and hustle out there and do all the stuff?
Nobody lives on Castaway, but they do have some people from the boat do come off the boat to like get the island ready and work in like the food areas, but then they also have people that live in the Bahamas that boat in and out, but no one lives on the island. Because you'll see like some people, they have like smaller boats and it'll just say like crew boat, and you see them kind of taking off as everyone's getting back on the ship. So there's people that live locally. I don't know like what the commute would be like, how long it takes to get from like the islands where someone else might live to come on and work on the island for the day. But
yeah, I didn't know if they had like a little village with like 100.
I had thought that too, but I guess nobody lives on the island.
That's interesting.
But, yeah.
Mike, did you have any other questions about the ports or anything else? I know we're getting a little.
I didn't have any more questions about the ports, but we didn't talk much about food. We don't really have to take a deep dive into it. But what'd you think of the food on the ship?
I really enjoyed the food on the ship. They have the 3 restaurants there. I don't know how much overlap there is with the Dream. I know Animator's Palette is on both ships.
Correct.
And then there's Enchanted Garden.
That's correct.
And Royal Court. Are they all 3 the same?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure because I know like the Magic and the Wonder are sister ships, but they don't have 3 identical restaurants. They're a little bit different, so I wasn't sure. But I mean, it's so nice to just have like your service team that travels with you and knows like can make recommendation based on other things that you've gotten, and they bring you the drinks that you get and things like that. And I thought the food was good. We had some nights that I didn't love the menu, some nights that had a bunch of things I wanted to try, which is also just a nice thing because you can get a lot of stuff on the nights where you like everything on the menu. And the days when you don't love the menu, you can get like all of the appetizers and not get an entree. Like you can just kind of do whatever you want.
And you could also just not eat and go to the buffet after.
Right. Well, that's one thing with
Cabanas
Disney.
isn't open at night, though.
Yeah.
I thought it was 24 hours. I didn't.
No, that's something with
room
Disney
service is 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the same as a lot. I think a lot of other cruise lines do have buffets 24 hours, but Disney's isn't. But they do have like the food up by the pools is open on the later side.
So about midnight.
Yeah, like one of them will stay open and the rest maybe close around 9 or 10. And room service. So, but I mean, you certainly have options if you don't like the menu. And I think they're pretty accommodating. Like if you want to order off the kids menu or if you want to get something from one of the other restaurants, I think you just need to give them a little bit of time, but they all kind of share a kitchen. I think like their space is they only have so much space. So I think you could be like, I really liked this from the other night. Is that available? Like they'll try to accommodate you as best they can, but it just depends. Like the pirate night menu is like, it's the same on every ship I've been on, and it's not my favorite menu. They don't have their big like signature. Yeah, their signature thing is like
I would agree
Captain
with
Jack's pasta or something like that, and
Yeah.
it's got like all different kinds of seafood, and people love it, but it's not for me. And then one night, like the big thing was like the lobster tail, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna get that, but
talk dirty to me.
yeah, I mean, and obviously people love different things. So none of the four of us are big seafood people. So like a lot of those seafood things, none of us were interested in. But like
one of the
night,
guys that I sat with got 2 lobster tails. Like it's good enough. You get the steak and the lobster tail. He's like, no. I'm getting 2 lobster tails. I'm like, you're my man.
You gotta
just
take
ask
advantage.
for 10 of them if you want.
Yeah,
10 of them.
Yeah. So, but like I got the Chateaubriand one night. We got the beef Wellington one night. They have a lot of good things. You know, Disney menus aren't huge, but you have a lot of things. And like I said, if you want 5 appetizers, they'll bring you 5 appetizers. You don't have to order anything specific. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but there wasn't really any night that I didn't like the food. There were things I liked better than others, obviously, but overall, I thought everything was really good.
And Cabana is solid, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I did think they had more options on the Wish. It's called Marceline Market, but it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
But I did think there was more. They had more options on that, and that was the one I most recently done. But
from what I've seen, that's not like your typical buffet, though, correct? Like, don't they have to like plate everything for you?
They do like plate it for you on the Wish.
Right.
I'm not sure like what prompted that sort of switch between all the other ships, but they do. And the same thing with the soft serve ice cream. They get it for you on the Wish. You can't go up and get it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's just like a post-COVID thing that they were like, we're just going to do it this way on this ship, or if they just think it's fancier because people are serving you. I don't know.
Ice cream on my...
Yeah, every other ship you get your own, but on the Wish it's like behind, so you have to go up and ask for it. but yeah, all the food is really solid. We didn't get a lot of. I think we only got room service once, but even the room service stuff is pretty good. So you definitely don't go hungry.
Now, did you like the 7 night?
Yeah, I did. The last one we did was 4 nights, which even when we were like getting off, we were like, this feels too short. Like you kind of just get into your groove and then you're like, oh, we're getting off tomorrow. Okay. So it's nice to have, this is the longest vacation I've taken in a very long time. So just in general, it was just so nice to be like on a vacation for longer than a week. Cause we had that like extra day and I didn't go back to work until the Monday and stuff like that. So it was just like so nice to have such a long time.
Right.
But yeah, it's not, and having like the 3 full sea days, you really feel like you make the most of your time on the ship. You don't feel rushed to do anything. Yep. You don't feel like you have to cram everything into this limited amount of time that you have just on the ship. So yeah, it was nice. I like the 7 night. I don't think I would want to do less than 5 nights moving forward. And not that I wouldn't do it, but
now, do you guys plan your next one while you're on the ship to get the discount, or?
Well, we did do that this time because I think Mom really wants to go on a cruise. So I told her that I would go with her for her 70th. So we're kind of figuring out who's coming and what's happening. It might end up being me, Mom, Dad, and Dan. So we did put a reservation on 2 rooms, but they can just refund you if you don't use it. So you have to put a down payment of $250 and then you save 10% off a cruise. You just have to book it within 2 years of the sale.
Within 2 years.
Yeah.
And the $250 goes toward your deposit. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's not like an extra $250. You just have to put that down basically to like reserve that spot for your savings.
That discount. And then if you decide not to do it, you just get the $250
back. They'll just refund you.
You get the $250 back. It's a no-brainer because like we put it down and everybody on this cruise had issues because we're like in a Facebook group. People are like, yeah, we did the bounce back, and like they never charge our credit card, so we ended up having to call Disney Cruise Line.
Mm.
And she's like, yeah, we can do it for you now, and blah blah blah. So I was asking, I said, well, my next cruise might only be a $2,000 cruise, so at 10%, I'm only getting $200, so it's almost not worth it. And she's like, no, you're getting that $250 that you put down is going toward your deposit, and you're getting the 10% off the cruise. So I'm like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
And even like if you think you'll do more than one within 2 years, you could wait and just pay for that $2,000 cruise, and then if you do a longer one, use your. I mean, I don't know, maybe you can't do that, but I would think you can choose which one you apply it towards. If you think
because
you're
you
going to
want to apply it toward your your recent one.
Yeah, like if you think you're going to do a shorter one next year and then another one the year after, and it's still in the window, you can probably just wait and use it for whichever.
But when you get a bounce back on your shorter one anyway,
that's true too. You can just get another bounce back. So then you might as well. That's true. But
now, one parting question before we wrap things up: Are you all in on cruise?
Right
now, are you
now,
more of a cruise person than you are a Walt Disney World person?
I mean, I haven't had a full trip to Walt Disney World since August of 2022. It's the last time I went. And I do want to go back, but I feel like I'm not really missing it because I'm getting that Disney experience on the ship. And we've just been enjoying cruising so much. This group of 4 of us that went last January and then this year, that we're really like content with doing cruises. I really like them. I think it's a nice stress-free way to travel for me.
I agree.
And I know, we've talked about how like you kind of just like someone to tell you where to go and what to do when you're traveling, and just having everything right there for you, and it being so convenient that it's a really nice way for me to travel. Like I really want to do at some point like a European one, because I think that would be such a great way. Like from what you've told me and what I've seen,
I'll do one with you because we're already looking at another one. We'll do one.
Yeah.
Because don't you agree when we were texting, like it would be so much better, like even a bigger group. Like if we could get 10 to 12 people, I mean, it would just be a freaking blast, wouldn't it?
And it's so nice because you can do this at Disney World too, obviously, but you can choose what you do want to take part in and what you don't. And it's so easy to get around on the ship that if someone just wants to go to bed for the night and everyone else wants to stay and do something, you don't feel like you're this big process of getting back and then where are you going to be and this and that. So I do enjoy it. I think, and not that I'm never going to go back to Disney. I want to go back, but I think we'll try to do them pretty regularly. Like we really enjoy cruising right now. I am.
Now,
I feel like I'm
the
hooked.
other thing too, like you say that you're cheap.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
You paused. Disney Cruise Line's expensive.
It is.
You've never cruised another line.
I have not.
Have you looked at other cruise lines, or you're sold? You're sold on Disney.
I mean, I am sold on Disney. I've looked at others just to see like what their pricing looks like, and it is kind of wild.
Like you compare the apples to apples. Yeah.
Like it is wild how much less it is, but I just don't think it's what I'm looking for as a vacationer. Like I feel like some other ships from pictures I looked at, they feel like floating malls almost. Like
yes. Thank you. We said that on our walk yesterday. It looks like a Las Vegas casino in your face.
Yeah.
And that's just not I'm not interested in the gambling and the smoking and all that crap. I'll sit at a bar all day and watch the PGA Championship with hippie guy. But that's just not my interest, is the floating casino. Like exactly. A big mall, the atrium.
Yeah. And it depends on what cruise line, even from there. But I do think the nice thing about Disney and them being so family friendly is like you don't see people that are like hammered at noon at the pool. There was this one group of like, it seems like 8 like bachelors that were, I was like, did you know you booked a Disney cruise? Because they were like ordering tequila shots and like, I was like,
dude, I'll tell you, I like my sauce, but I'm getting on the elevator to get breakfast and people are like drinking. I'm like, whoa, it's like 8:30.
Yeah, but it's 8:30 in Italy. It's like 4 o'clock in Florida.
That's true.
Well, I mean, it's like, again, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but it's like, I mean, these people, there were some people, I didn't see anybody drunk, but they
there was
started
like
early
this
and ended late.
Yeah. There was just this one group that we would keep seeing that seemed like they were just drunk the whole time. And I was like, I don't really understand this dynamic. But for the most part, you don't see a lot of that, which is just kind of also what I like. And you think of some of the other like cheap cruises that people are buying those drink packages and they're just drinking all day, every day. And then the casinos and the smoking. And I'm like,
you got to get you
even though it's cheaper, I don't think that's what I want.
I paid $35.
Right.
I got to get.
Right. So I do think even though I am cheap, I do think for me it's worth it to pay the extra to do the Disney cruise because I know what it is and what I'm getting into, and I know that I'm going to enjoy it.
The other thing is I hate being nickeled and dimed. I don't mind paying a little bit more knowing that I'm going to get what Disney's giving me.
Right.
Like, I don't drink soda often, but it was nice when I'd go up with my cup and like get a big thing of water. And then, I'm going to get like a little 8-ounce glass of Sprite. Yeah. And sit on my balcony and have a Sprite, and I don't have to end up paying for it. Or like, I just hate being nickeled and dime, which I heard a lot of cruise lines. As soon as you get on there with the clipboard trying to get you to sign up for everything under the sun.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know how other cruise lines work, but with Disney, except for alcohol and obviously like different experiences, like the spa's not included, but everything's included. You don't really have to worry about it. The only thing that you pay extra for is like if you go to like the concession stand by the theater and you buy a bag of M&Ms, that's going to be a separate charge. But any of the food places, all of the drink stations, like most things are included, and it's easy to see what's not included. So you're not like getting tricked into getting something and then figuring out you just paid $20 for it or anything like that. So yeah. But yeah, we had a really great time. We're planning on doing another one. We like traveling together, the four of us, and we like cruising, and we definitely, won't be our last one for sure. So yeah, I'm excited to hear about yours, which I'm sure will span about 7 episodes.
Yeah, we're going to be going into college football season with all these episodes. You got adventures like Disney to talk about.
That's right, that too. Yeah.
No, you're still not intrigued, Gary?
No, not really. I mean, I would do one, but I don't think it's going to happen. It's not in the cards. You've asked me the same question 1,000 times. I've given you the same answer every time. Unless I go by myself, I'm not going.
Right.
All right, so I can go with you. We'll go with you then?
Yeah, I mean, I would go, but I don't think I'm getting the family to go.
Someday we can get one in the works, maybe. See how you like it.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not opposed to it, but it's not high on my list. It makes me nervous. I do like maybe a 3-day one, see how it is, or 4, whatever the short.
Yeah, they have 3-night ones, and I do think people who haven't cruised, it is a good idea to do a shorter one.
Yeah,
like you guys go at jumping right into the 7-night. I mean, you loved it, so it all worked out. But
I have no desire to go in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Like because I live in Florida and I have beautiful beaches, so I don't like. I'll go on one.
Yeah.
But I know if I went on like a 4-day, I'd be like, okay, Bahamas, okay.
Right. Yeah. But then you could also.
And I knew I wasn't going to get seasick, so I wasn't like concerned about that.
Good. Yeah, a lot of people get nervous about that. So that's another reason to do a shorter one. We had gorgeous weather. Like the sea was so calm. The captain even was like, he commented over the thing one time. He was like, we've had really nice, calm weather. Like you guys have a great cruise. So it was nice. You didn't really feel it at all. So
well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. We should probably wrap things up here, Pards. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, we can wrap things up.
All right. You know where to find us online. You can go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/@WDWBTG, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, @WDWBTG. Our Facebook group is WDW Beyond the Gates Podcast Family. Subscribe wherever you download podcasts. You can email us info@WDWBTG.com, Mike @WDWBTG.com, and Gary @WDWBTG.com. Anything else that I left out, Michael?
No, you hit on everything, my friend.
All right, that's going to do it for episode number 531 of the WDW Beyond the Gates podcast. From my co-host Mike and our special guest, Por Favor Mary, my name is Gary. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all our company. M-I-C
See you real soon.
K-E-Y
Why? Because we like you.
M-O